welcome to my channel. If this is your first time on my channel, thank you so much for clicking this video. My name is Aziza, aka Z-Med. I am a second year medical student in the UK and I am also a registered nurse. Literally, I paid for every single thing all by myself, including accommodation, rent. I had to do it all by myself. It was really hard. It was absolutely mental. So before I went into medicine, like from the very beginning, I knew that money, as in funding, would probably be a thing that I would struggle with. But I didn't think it was going to be this difficult. I didn't think it was going to be this hard because I thought I was going to be entitled to a maintenance loan as a graduate, because normally in the UK, if you're doing medicine as a second degree, you're supposed to do the graduate entry medicine. And as I said in my last video, I couldn't get into that graduate entry medicine course because it was so competitive, and I didn't want to waste much more time. So a lot of graduates tend to go for the undergraduate course because it's a lot less competitive than the graduate entry medicine course. So if I had done the graduate entry medicine course, I would have been entitled to funding because that's what they want you to do as a graduate. But because I didn't go that pathway, you're not entitled to a tuition fee loan if you're doing the 5-year undergraduate degree, if that makes sense. For undergraduate courses though, even though you're not entitled to a tuition fee loan, you're actually entitled to a maintenance loan, right? So most graduates that are studying the 5-year undergraduate medicine degree, they're actually getting the maintenance loan. So I thought I was going to get that. So I thought, in a way, if I can get the maintenance loan, I can pay my tuition fee with the maintenance loan and then kind of manage myself, like just manage myself in terms of maintenance, because that's what I had to do in my first degree. So in nursing, I got the NHS bursary, which sorted out my tuition fee, and I only had to worry about maintenance. So I was working part-time to survive. So I thought I was going to do the same for medicine. I applied for the maintenance loan. They said to me, Miss Aziza, you're unqualified for the maintenance loan. Unfortunately, we cannot help you. At this point, I already had an offer in med school. I'm considered as an EU student because my parents are from Ireland and I've also lived in the Republic of Ireland for a while, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go into detail about that. And I had an option to defer my admission for like a year. I was too excited for med school to not go to med school like at that point in time. I was so excited to start med school. I was so excited to start learning. I said to myself, I'm going to go to med school and I'm going to succeed. My parents are not financially capable to support me with my tuition fee. So I knew that from the get-go. So it wasn't even a thing of me even thinking that my parents would be like an option or family members sponsoring me. Another thing that I always say to myself is, I'm not going to be a victim of my circumstances. I'm not going to say because my parents don't have the money or because I don't have a pot of money sitting somewhere that can support me or a sponsor, then I'm going to give up on my dream. I'm not going to do that. Around July or August last year, I remember going to this money advisor or student support advisor, or whatever they call them, can't remember now, or financial advisor. And then I remember this guy telling me that he wouldn't advise me to do medicine. He doesn't think I'm going to survive. He thinks I'm going to get chased out of med school if I don't pay. All sort of negativity. I was like, really? Really? At that point in time, the last thing I needed was negativity, right? I needed positivity. I was struggling. I was indecisive. I was mentally exhausted because I was working like crazy. And then I've come to this guy that's told me to give up on my doctor's dream. When you're chasing your dream and you're experiencing challenges, you need to be careful with people that tend to tell you to give up. You need to be wary of them. And then at this point as well, I had applied for a loan from a company called Future Finance, right? And then they've granted my application, but I haven't signed the contract. So before I signed the contract, I wanted to like get a professional advice. So that's also one of the reasons why I went to see this financial advisor. Holiday, I met a girl named Dolly. So Dolly then told me about how she works as a self-employed nurse, and how she is able to manage her own tax and be able to save up a little bit more money. And she then told me how to go about it. I needed to go on company's house to register a company. I needed to open a bank account for my business. And then I was working as a self-employed nurse. I was working for an agency at this point. I started working lots of hours, guys. I work in like hospice, neuro rehab in the community, stroke rehab units in the community, especially when I'm doing night shifts. Most of the time in the places that I work, I'm the only nurse with about, especially if I work in a hospice, it's quite calm, because normally I only like I have a few patients myself. If I work in like, especially nursing homes, if I work in a nursing home, I can have up to 40 patients to myself. Obviously, like I have support workers and nursing assistants working with me, but I have the most accountability. And then doing the night shift, sometimes I'm on my feet throughout the night. So doing that for 7 days a week was harsh on my mental health. Like I was going mad. But the only thing I was thinking about is every week when I get paid, I'm thinking about how much have I got in savings. The good thing is the pay was quite good, and if I work hard, say if I do 7 shifts a week, I can save up to 1,500, 1,000-ish, between 1,000 and 1,500 a week. That's obviously before tax, because I still have to kind of like pay tax for it like afterwards. So I was earning quite well at that point. So because I was saving up so much money, it was encouraging me to continue to work hard, and it made it look like my dream was achievable. So I just kept working and working and working, and it wasn't easy. It was quite hard. Sometimes I would cry. I don't wish that on anyone. So when you're doing night shifts, you don't get to sleep very well. I wasn't getting enough sleep. I wasn't having fun. I wasn't socializing. I didn't have time for myself. I was just working like crazy. So whilst working, I was also doing a lot of research in terms of like loans that I could apply to, and I found out about quite a lot of loans and grants, and I applied for a lot of grants, lots of grants, guys. So some like private grants. I remember I applied for like the leather seller. They didn't have money for me. All the grants that I applied for, none of them were successful. I don't know if it's my personal statement. I don't know what it is. I just feel like every time I apply for a grant, they just don't give me the money. You know, the people that actually get the support, please tell me, what do you write in your application for a grant? Because I don't seem to be lucky enough. I recognize the fact that there are a lot of people in the UK applying for these loans, and obviously they can't give the money to everybody. I even applied to like university scholarships. Nothing was working. One that actually nearly went through, and then they came back to me telling me that because my parents earned over 45 grand a year, I'm not entitled. Fast forward to September 2019, which was when I started med school. At this point, I'd saved up £6,000 out of my 9,250 tuition fee, and I'd also paid my rent for the first term of med school. So I was kind of like good to go, or like good to start. I mean, there's absolutely no harm in me actually taking a year out or two to work and then go back to med school, but that wasn't what I wanted. I wanted to go to med school then and then. I feel like I'd already like wasted enough time. I'd already spent 1 year of access to nursing, 3 years of nursing school, 1 year of an access to medicine course, and then I don't want to have to take like another 2 years out and then make my journey even longer, if that makes sense. So I was determined to start med school last year. I did start, even though I didn't know how I was going to survive. I didn't know what med school was going to be like. I didn't know if I was going to be able to work. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know I was going to pay the rest of my rent and the rest of my tuition fee. So when I started med school in September, my expenses wasn't a lot, because it was just me actually just feeding myself, and I was living in the student hall, so I didn't have to pay things like electricity bill, gas, and things like that. So it was purely me just spending money on food shopping. I was working one or two shifts a week, which was quite hard, because I was always busy, because in my med school we go to uni 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, and most of the time, say if I've gone for like a lecture in the morning, like 9 to 5, I end up going to the library from 5 to like 11 p.m. or even sometimes 2 a.m. So I felt like I was always busy, I was always working, and then the weekend is the time that you're supposed to have some time for yourself, and busy working. So it was quite hard for me, and sometimes I actually just cry because it's just so hard. So in December we had we finished our first term exam, and we had a 4 weeks Christmas break. So during this 4 weeks period, it was good for me because, exams were done and dusted. I didn't have to study. I was able to work and save up a bit more money. Also, because during the Christmas period, there's a lot of like bank holiday pay, Christmas Day pay, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day pay. So I was working throughout those periods. I was working on Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. I was working a lot. So this way I was able to save up some money for my term 2 rent, if that makes sense. So in term 2, I did exactly the same thing as I did in term 1. I was working, so it was kind of repetitive. And then we had another holiday, I think towards the Easter period, another 4 weeks holiday. Pandemic started. I was working throughout the pandemic. I was always at work. I got ill at a point. I was COVID positive. I had to stay at home for 2 weeks to recover. And then as soon as I recovered, I went back to work, and then I was saving up a lot of money during that time as well. So pretty much that has been the situation since med school started. I work over the weekend, and then when we have like a big break, like the 4 weeks break, such as like the Christmas and the Easter one, I work a lot. However, this is really hard, and I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. I wouldn't advise anyone to work in med school because it's really hard. I study a lot though, and I feel like obviously I prioritize my education, I prioritize med school, but I feel like if I wasn't working, I don't know if I'll perform better, but I'm doing well. So I think what is affected is my life outside of studying. So apart from med school, I don't have a life outside of medicine, if that makes sense. So all I just do is work, study, uni, work, work, work. So and it stopped me from doing a lot of things. I couldn't go on holidays. I couldn't do a lot of things that my mate could do. Sometimes I just look at other people and I'm like, can I just be a normal medical student? Can I just not have to worry so much about money? Can I just not have so much stress in my life? But a lot of the time I try to be positive. I try to be happy. It's really hard what I'm putting myself through, but this is a sacrifice that I'm making for my doctor dreams. So even though it's quite hard, there's some advantages to what I'm putting myself through. For example, I'm achieving my dreams, I'm progressing, and I'm not in debt, meaning I don't have a loan. Also, because I didn't get a loan for my first degree as well, it means I don't have any loan at all. What that means is in the future, I don't have a loan to pay. and I'm going to be working as a doctor, and I'm going to be spending all my money, and I'm going to be living my best life without having to pay some of my money to Student Finance England or any other company for that matter. So sometimes I try to think about it like that. That doesn't mean that I would wish this on anyone, or I would advise anyone to self-fund their medical degree, right? Because it's hard, especially if you don't have my kind of job. I feel I'm able to do this only because I'm a nurse and I have a stable job, and you know, I can work every time I want to work, and you know, it's also a flexible job that I can decide I can work over the weekend. I can cancel my shift some weekends when I'm really busy and I need to study. I don't normally work during exam period, like a month before my exams. I don't normally work, so I have a job that can accommodate those things. I feel like my situation is actually a blessing in disguise, and I just try to be grateful to God, and I try to be positive about my situation and just take a day at a time. I'm hoping that one day I'm going to get a sponsor. I'm hoping that one day I'm going to have access to some sort of grant or a loan. But regardless of my circumstances or regardless of the situation, I have a strong determination. I have a strong passion for what I'm doing, and I don't think like no hardship is going to make me give up. Anyways guys, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you click the like button. I need to know that you like this video if you did, and hopefully I'll see you guys again soon in another video. Soon. Subscribe.